Run! Run! They're here, man. They're here. They're here. They're gonna get us all. They're gonna get us all. I'll get us all. And this will happen. This will happen. This will happen. We have to leave right now.
Hey guys, I hope you like the dramatic intro. As you can see, I have in my hands the not so new Space Marine from McFARLANE Toys. I have the artist proof edition that it's a Space Marine that comes with no paint, just ready for you to get your hands on and put some paint on all that gray plastic. I thought it was gonna be fun because, you know, just the switch of scale and the sort of things that you're always wishing to do on a miniature, but because the space is so, reduced, it's always kind of tricky. And I know it's part of the fun and it's part of the beauty and the art of painting a miniature, but it would be nice to don't struggle with the size for a change. So I thought, you know, let's do it. Let's go ahead and do it. I'm particularly not a Space Marine player. I like more. I'm more attracted to the Xenos races as a whole, but I mean, you can't underestimate the design. I mean, it's a poster boy of the franchise for a reason, and it's the one design that most people that don't know much about Games Workshop or Warhammer as a whole recognize. So here we go. I'm having a little bit of a hard time thinking out of the box, but not too bad. You know, he's kind of like reaching out. You know, like newborn baby trying to walk. First step. Oh God, he made it. They grow so fast. Holy shit. So yeah, there you have it. In all its glory. First impressions. The plastic, it's pretty rugged. It feels sturdy, like it's like an old-fashioned toy, you know, like it can take a punch. Also the grip on the weapon, it's pretty hard. Yeah, like you have to put your elbow into it to bring it apart, and I mean, it shouldn't be an issue or even something that you cared about if you buy the regular one. But if you're looking to buy one for painting and you want to put it apart, so you know the whole painting, the whole painting process is more straightforward, and you can have more control over the details and whatnot, then it does becomes an issue. Here I went Boss Lightyear on his ass and took it apart, and now the good old sanding. I have some Tamiya sanding paper. To be honest, I fucked it up when I first bought the package, and it comes in these packages of 4 different, grades of sanding paper, and like 3 out of them 4 are just like way too soft for most of the things that I do or cared about. So I only use the roughest one, which because I used a little bit every now and then, I still have a few sheets of paper to go through. One of the things that kept throwing me off was that the figure is articulate, which is obvious, but since I'm used to working with miniatures that are just static, the fact that the feet would move a little bit and the knee would jerk around as well, and the same with the shoulders and the elbows, it was just something to keep in mind, because if you paint an area and then you move it and then you reveal an area that was just left unpainted, it's like, oh yes, of course, I forgot that spot. Now I'm gonna introduce this little box, which is a paragraph. The paragraph is basically like, you know, making marks with heat. It has a small pointy tip like this one, and then you use the electric motor and it heats up, and then I thought it was like something nice and interesting to try, given that the plastic in this miniature is kind of hard. And it did. It worked just nicely. It was nice to do real damage for a change and not just painted damage. I thought that it was perhaps one of my favorite parts of the whole process. Here, what I'm trying to keep in mind is where it's most sound for the armature to receive damage. So the edges, the pointy areas. I think it's the same like with a car. If you see a used or an old car, most of the damage is in those edges and those parts of the shape that are a little bit more protruding. So yeah, I thought same with the armor, right? And also I think Space Marines are known to be pretty straightforward, pretty aggressive. So they just go head on. They're not that stealthy. I mean, they are, but that's not like what they're known for. They're more like a, you know, getting your hands dirty kind of elite force. So that's how I think the damage on the armor translates to. Here I'm also trying to mix it up, not just go only with the paragraph, but also create some edges, some scratches with an X-Acto knife, and maybe later introduce a paragraph. But yeah, I wanted to see what I could do with other tools, and especially the hand, for instance, that holds the weapon. I think is one of the areas that it's the most exposed. So yeah, I think it also gives it a lot of personality. The hands always carry a lot of the personality of the character. Aside from the face and the pose. Also, if you ever work with a paragraph or something similar, also like an airbrush, just remember to wear a face mask. I'm not sure I should say this, but yeah, you just don't want to breathe any of those fumes. Now I'm just gonna shut up for a little bit and leave you with the meat and potatoes of the damaging with the paragraph process. Woo-wee. One of the most interesting aspects of working with the bigature was to go back and forth between 28mm Space Marine that I had and see how the detail translates and how I was able to recreate the damage with more fidelity. You see the damage there in the leg. It's just paint, right? It's just paint and weathering and layers. And here, some of that paint I could translate it into texture and do real ruggedness, right? So yeah, that was pretty fun. And there you have it. I kind of went even with all the damage, trying to make it look like this guy receives projectiles from all over the place. And now the next step is going for the priming. I'm gonna go for white prime because I plan on doing some orange, so I think it's the best way to keep that color clear and fresh. And this step I kind of just went through it because it's just a can, white paint, spray it all over, and you're good to go. So yeah, this is how it looks in its primal state. And now we're gonna go straight for the airbrush. I want to start with light orange. It's the Vallejo. I think it's called the heavy orange. Let me double check. Yes, it's the heavy orange. Is part of the extra opaque subset of the game color line from Vallejo. I think they're pretty good for base coloring because of the extra opaqueness. They tend to thin down pretty good. I also have the brown one from the same extra opaque line. I use it a little bit more, but this orange one is pretty good too. And as I'm almost done with the base, I'm going to switch to the hot orange. This I'm going to apply on the insides of the armor, trying to leave the base color more on the edges. Trying to keep that tear and wear and tear effect of use. And yeah, this whole orange again from the game color line, it's pretty intense. I'm pretty happy with it. It's even like on the paint rack, it's one of the ones that pops up the most because it's that intense. Now with the contrast color, we're gonna go with blue. I'm just gonna apply it on the helmet and the right shoulder pad. Just orange and blue, they tend to work nicely. It's one of those partnerships that you can't go wrong with. And I don't see a lot of Space Marines in this color. I'm not sure if there's a particular chapter that uses them. I'm not so well versed on the Space Marine lore. I know a few, but with 40k, it's like I'm sorry, it's like a never-ending tunnel of names and facts, and these happened in this year, and then it didn't, and so yeah. I try to apply the lighter blue first, and then build up from there. So I feel like I have a bit more control. And again, just like with the armor, trying to leave some of that lighter tones on the edges. And last but not least, for the weapon, I just went straight with a dark steel metallic base color. Later on, I might add some grime, but for now, we're good to go. Now I'm adding some black on certain parts of the backpack, as well as the under armor. Trying to be as careful as I can, but it's not a big deal if I just have to go back and work those edges out with a brush. Here's what I mentioned with the joints. I paint the other one with the knee fixed, and then I forgot that they move. So for this one, I try to be more thorough. And now it's time for the assembly, and that's how he looks back in shape. Now, as you can tell or not tell, it was a little bit of a mess trying to put him back together. I ain't gonna lie, it was a mess. I had to struggle with it for like half an hour and those junctures are hard as hell. But I managed to put it all back together, sort of. But I did damage a lot of the paint work, and it was a little bit disheartening. But hey, it is what it is. We're gonna go and fix it, and we're gonna leave him better than he was before. For the design of the shoulder pad, I thought about going freehand, but then I had some second thoughts, and I thought, I'm just gonna keep it simple, keep it elegant, and I think the triangle that I went for ended up working just nicely. I had to do the kind of like DIY decal thing, but hey, I'm okay with it. I'll leave with it. Now, I kind of wanted to do some small light effects on the bends of the armor. So first I went with the white base, and now I'm gonna go for the damage. This part was also pretty fun. Kind of going back in and adding that paint job that brings the damage and the rest of the paint job in the armor together into one cohesive whole. For the hands, I tried to add a little bit of character. They're usually too small to be able to go into detail with them, but here I couldn't help but think that because they're always, or they tend to hold a weapon, they're bound to be targeted, right? So I went a little bit heavy with the damage on the knuckles, the palm, the back of the palm, the wrists. Here I'm just going for what I would call some blending damage, trying to bridge the more flat areas with the deeper dents in the armor, using the old grabbing foam technique. At first I was a little bit disappointed with the way the plastic was reacting with the paint. Like, the roughness of the plastic would make the paint rub off quite easily, especially in the articulations. And also putting the Space Marine together was such a pain. But, later thoughts, I thought, maybe I'm asking too much. And also maybe, if you don't take the Space Marine apart as I did, when you paint it, you can save yourself a little bit of the struggle, even if it's a little bit harder to get into the recesses of the bigature, I would say. I think that's what I would recommend first and foremost. Other than that, it was a pleasure. It was nice to work with different scale. I had the chance to try a different approach to some of the effects, some of the damage, and that was in itself just a lot of fun. Now here I'm just going for a little bit of ink application. I make some yellow and some red, trying to create my own orange. At first I was just going for the panels, but then I just went all over, and I think it did bring the orange a little bit more, made it pop up, so to speak. Now I'm just going for the streaky grimy step. You cannot not do it. The trick is to be, hasty and just let it dry for about half an hour, and then remove it as you see fit, using linseed oil or some kind of white spirit. That's it, fellows. guys. Guys, we made it through, guys. We pulled through, guys. We made it to the end of the video. We went through a lot. Thanks for sticking with me. Thanks for sharing this little journey. I hope that something in the video, inspired you to try it yourself. And if you want to share the love, you want to share with your friends, if you want to save it in your favorites, in your playlist to see it again, if you want to keep in touch and subscribe, then go ahead. I love you guys. This is Tabletoperos.